Stock market today. Analysis for Aloha Monday, March 27th, 2023. My friend, there's a lot of stuff going on in the markets, in the economy, which the market is kind of connected to. In theory, it is really connected to, and in actuality of the way things have unfolded throughout the years leading up to 2023, the market is kind of disconnected to the economy in a way as well. And the easiest thing you can do as a beginner is to do this strategy. Selling cash secured put options on stocks that you wouldn't mind owning. Why should you do it? At the 1 minute mark, I'll link to a video that will give you 5 reasons why you should do it. It's going to pop up right here. In fact, it is, boom, right there. I put it specifically at the 1 minute mark so that way you wouldn't have to worry about watching it right this moment. You can go back and watch it later because 1 is an easy number to remember. You got a bank account, you got an internet connection, you spend money at least once a year. You have no legitimate reason not to be selling cash secured put options in 2023. This is an easy strategy, but it's not simple. It has moving parts. But I know, even though I don't know you, if you're watching this, I know you have the mental capacity to figure this out. You got a free YouTube playlist, 5 videos. Watch that. There are free downloads to accompany the YouTube playlist. Download those. Read through them. They're not really that long. So we got the free stuff. We got the paid stuff. If you're going to do the paid stuff, do the free stuff first. That will expedite the paid stuff. And check out the mission if you like. If you want to contact me, myself, and I, then click this button right here. Here is Sunday was yesterday, and then today we're in Monday. We got an FOMC member, Jefferson, spoke, but look at that, it's not red. All right, what's red mean? Boom, high impact expected. Right now we're looking at things from US and Europe. I think I have that set up for. And tomorrow we got this. Let's take a look at exactly what this is. The conference board. Why traders should care. Financial confidence is a leading indicator of consumer spending, which accounts for the majority of the overall economic activity. Survey of about 3,000 households, which asks respondents to rate the relative level of current and future economic conditions, including labor availability, business conditions, and overall economic situation. Now, with any of these reports, like Wednesday, we got the German prelim consumer price index coming out. And then this on Thursday, the final GDP. Do you know what that is? Gross domestic product. It's the broadest measure of economic activity and the primary gauge of economy's health. And then you got unemployment claims, and then you got core producer cost index. Let's double check that one. Producer consumption, personal consumption expenditures. I was all mixed up. Yeah, that's right. This is the Federal Reserve's primary inflation measure. Okay, now one thing I want to pass on to you. It's totally up to you whether you want to what you want to do with this. So there's reports and these different things that are going to come out. Right, the market knows they're going to come out, the market watches them, and the market reacts on if they come out. Now, it's up to you if you want to believe that these numbers are 100% honest. That part, it's up to you. Now, whether they're honest or not, the market's still going to react to them. So we really have kind of two things going on. And sometimes more than 2 things. But for the moment, let's take a peekaboo over here at this quote from Scott Fitzgerald. The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function, right? The ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and retain the ability to function. Keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff, all right? The numbers are coming out. Who inputs the numbers? People. Whether they're government people, whether they're non-government people. Have people in the past ever been known to stretch the truth just a little bitty bit? Yes. Sometimes they've been known to flat out lie. So I just want to offer this idea to you that there's whatever the number is reported. It may not or may not be accurate. It may or may not be true. There's all this debate that we could do on the validity of these numbers, right? That's one topic. And a separate topic is the market's reaction to this number, regardless if it is fake or accurate or whatever it might be. So I hope that helps you to do whatever you are doing in your life. And, just little nuggets of wisdom that might be wisdom or might not. The heat map. We see a lot of green, but the big squares we see red. And overall, we had more advancing versus declining, but we're still hitting a lot of new lows, right? A lot of new lows. 167 stocks hit new lows. We got over 6,000 stocks still below the 50-day moving average, a little bit over 5,000 stocks below the 200-day moving average. I wanted to point out to your attention, I think on one of the last videos I made, we saw this insider from Walmart still selling. So, wow. Walton Robson, he's really unloading some stock. Let's take a quick look at Walmart. All right, we see the stochastic that I have set up here. This longer term trend going down, the shorter term trend going up. Now this is a lagging indicator. It's very accurate at telling us what happened in the past. And we don't know why. Walton, why are you selling? We don't know why Walton is selling. It'd be good. It'd be a good question for Walton. How many people do you know named Walton? I mean, unique names are nice, but Walton, that's just not a name that it's not a unique name that I would want to have on my name tag. But, everybody's got their own thing. Walton's unloading some shares. There is some reason, we just don't know why. And it's going down overall. Walmart's been going down, but it hasn't been, it's not like continued like that. It's got this kind of down to sideways thing. We'll see if it can get back up to there. All right, that's just a little side note. What else? Okay, right here, I just wanted to point out to you that this one that's an ad actually. They snuck an ad in there. It keeps updating. It was a different ad last time I looked at it. But we still got banks in the news, right? Right here, something about banks. 2 about banks. That's an ad. Bank 3. Okay, so 1, 2. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looked like it was 1. Is that how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of 5 of these, like I guess you could say, big headlines still about the banks. So obviously some stuff going on with the banks. Anybody else? Anybody else going on? Lazy. And okay, let's take a look at some more just market stuff. We're gonna go backwards today. Why? And just for poops and gaggles. So this is a line chart of the S&P 500 going back 10 years and on a week. So I guess your little movement is week to week, and overall you see we had a lot of drop through 2022, and right here through 2022 dropped down again, and here's where we're leaving 2022 going into 2023. But around this time, definitely through here, you see a lot of sideways range. Not exact. We could debate when it started. I don't have an objective way to measure that. Maybe you do, and you could tell us your objective measurement. We could take a look at that with your objective rules. But a lot of interpreting stock charts a lot of times is subjective. If you have your own objective things, not everybody is necessarily on board with you. So you gotta relay that, your objective information, and see if people agree with it or disagree with it. And you gotta go through all this process, or you can just say, bloop, that I'm just gonna look at these stock charts, interpret them, and make some money. So overall, it's kind of been going sideways, right? We're kind of just been range bound, and what it looks like to me, it seems like the range is kind of tightening up. Seems like we're doing a bit of getting into this something kind of like this, sort of like that. And as pressure is pushing down, as pressure is pushing up, it's probably going to break one way or the other sooner or later. How soon? How later? I don't know. There's this saying, the longer the base, the deeper into space. Doesn't mean it's going to go up. Space, I guess, could be down this way too. But it's just something to take note of, is that we're still seem to be going sideways. So how can you have, without spending your life staring at stock charts, which if you want to, by all means, you and I are of the same cloth. But if you don't want to, what's an easy way you could be looking at? Well, right now we're under 400. Right? It's getting back up to 400, but it's still under 400. So you can pay attention to what it's doing around 400. Right? It's around 400 right now, and what it's doing is it's staying under 400. And if it gets over 400, what happens from 400 to 420? Last time it started getting close to 420, and then I started saying I want to see what's going to happen from 420 to 440. And then the very next week it went the opposite direction. So I saw what happened from 420 to 440. Nothing. It went the opposite way. So the lines that you can kind of be monitoring right now is going to be the 400. If it stays below 400, you want to see what it's doing in relationship to about 380. Now, for some of you, 380 is going to be an easy number to remember. I hope you're that somebody. And if you're not, well, then I guess it's just an esoteric joke. And then if it goes above 400, you want to see what's going to happen between 400 and 420. Now, for some of you, 420 is a number that you're going to laugh at. And that might not help your memory. So that's what we're looking at. We seem to be going, doing a bit of some sidewaysness. Now we got all the basically the big and the small sectors of the stock market right here. Right? 12 different sectors, with these three having a lot of weight in the S&P 500. Right? The technology, healthcare, and financials. So, of course, not surprisingly, financials been beaten down. But look at that. They've kind of been bottoming out. right? Lots of volume. It's kind of tapering off though. Volume's kind of tapering off, but we're under that 200-day moving average. We got a sideways 200-day moving average, basically sideways, starting to slant down. Sideways, it's kind of up, but you know, it's like sideways to up, and this is kind of sideways and sideways to down, and this is kind of, you know, sideways and sideways to down, and this is sideways, and this is like a little more down than a lot of them, but it's not like a strong down, but it's there. You see some downwardness in there, and you see a little bit of downwardness in there too, and you got a sideways here and a sideways here, and you got a sideways here. So, you know, no surprise, right? When we look at this, no surprise, we've seen a lot of sideways 200-day moving averages, because they're averaging up 200 days, and the last for several days it's basically been going an average of sideways. Now maybe we're getting ready to break that. Maybe sooner or later it will. It's just a question of when. And is there anything in here that's really showing us when? Okay, now even though we're up, now keep in mind this is 1 month of data, each chart, each candle being 1 day, right? This has been up, but now we had a stronger movement up here, but it's still moving up, and it could keep going, but we're not getting these big candles to the upside, right? When you see these long wicks, Phil Grande would call these a tweezers pattern, but it didn't break down. And I think we might see that in a few more spots. Maybe it was on individual stocks. So what do we have over here in healthcare? Okay, it gapped up, not a strong gap, but it was kind of in this range under this 200-day moving average. It kind of gapped up, but it closed down here, closed at the top end of this range. Wouldn't be a shocker if it's going to go back to the bottom end of this range. Financials starting to get range bound. Industrials, same thing, range bound here. You see basic materials kind of range bound, starting to get range bound here, and communication, which this, you know, maybe it's going to start getting range bound now, but it's like kind of creeping up. With this energy, it starting to get range bound now, but with some volatility, right? We're starting to see some range in here and some range in here. And XLY for consumer discretionary. Overall, we're not that much. We're just basically kind of range bound, but it's a wider range and a more volatile range. You got a tighter range, some tighter range boundness right in here in the consumer staples. Looks like same thing with utilities. Went down to kind of broke or hit the bottom of this range here, broke below it just a tad bit, you know, but this is, speaking of ranges, even these numbers are a bit of a range. So went to the bottom of the range, now it's kind of halfway up the range. Over here in real estate, still kind of falling apart, right? And bottom down here was a little bit range bound, broke down, so it just ultimately making this downward slope. Got some range boundedness going on in there. So I'm not necessarily seeing anything that's making me think we're going to get a big breakout. If the VIX is a good indication of fear in the market, then we see fear kind of dropping off. Fear was up here, but fear seems to be kind of settling down. If this is still an accurate measurement of fear, it may or may not be. I keep hearing more and more information about people talking about the 0 days to expiration options, and that may or may not be affecting this. But overall, it's something. If you have a strategy of trading those, if you don't and you have no clue of what I'm talking about, if you're just beginning, maybe make your life easy. You know, stick with something like that. But anyways, let's move on. Let's look at the dollar. All right, dollar is it's kind of been jerking all over the place, and we're at the bottom of this range, right? Here we had a bit of a range up in here. We kind of fell, where maybe now this is going to be some new support or new resistance up here. 20-year treasuries seem to be moving a bit sideways, and gold in this range right here, but it's up, and we're still on the top, kind of not quite. It's like battling this top 50% of this right here. So probably maybe the 1950 area might be our area we kind of watching like is a line in the sand. And oil hit a low, obviously down here of 64.36, and it's kind of creeping back up in kind of middle of this range. It used to be for a while the monthly range was 82 and change and 72 and some change, so it lowered down just a little bit. So if we looked at a longer term chart, we'd probably see it moving lower, which that's what our 200-day moving average is indicating. Bitcoin got down here, boom, tested this this area, 24,000, kind of went sideways, boom, got up here, back testing the 29, 30,000-ish type of area, kind of moving sideways a little bit here. So Bitcoin still in the game. If you know, this one if you want to buy and hold stuff, I don't know, me personally, like, this is what I buy and hold. Stocks I'd like to own. If you want to know why, you don't have to do it, just you can research why. You know, check out this free stuff I got for you. Bitcoin, that's for me personally, if I lived in a state that gave me enough freedom to trade this, I would just trade it. I wouldn't just hodl it. And the reason why I wouldn't hodl it is because if it goes to the moon, I can trade it up to the moon, right? If you hodl, like there are some stuff there's definitely some stuff I hodl. Some stuff you probably wouldn't expect. You wouldn't expect your good buddy Brent to be hodling some of these things. But yeah, there's some stuff that I buy and I just forget it. And there's other stuff I trade. So for me, Bitcoin would be one that I trade. Russell, we'll see. Russell is kind of, it's just in this range right here, right? And we're starting to make a range here in the NASDAQ. It's up, but it's making this range. We got range bound over here on the DXY. And look at this, sideways, right? Over the month on the S&P 500. Let's go through these top 10 stocks of the different indices. And since we're going backwards, I'm going to start with the IWM, right, which is basically the Russell 2000 ETF for the Russell. And we got that sidewaysness. Not a surprise, right? You see this, we're catching a lot of overlapping. So you see this area starts hitting support and resistance. You saw it over here, so not a surprise that we're hitting it right here. With AMC, by the way, we're on a 6 month time, and each candle being 1 day. This is a 200-day moving average. Just looking very unexciting, right? It's not really high enough to really short well, and I don't know if there's really good premium on this, but overall, not looking very bullish over there. Shockwave down too, right? It's sort of bottoming out here, kind of rounding out. It's slowly moving up to try to test this 200-day moving average, but it seems like around this 220-ish area, it just hitting some support, and you see all these long wicks to the top. What's going on? Biohaven doing some sideways shuffle right here, which is not surprising that we've seen it going sideways here. And here we see that here kind of like was debating it, right? So through this area. So, don't be surprised if it gets stuck around the 13, 14, anywhere from maybe like, I don't know, 1250 to like 15 something or other. And even if it's a little bit higher up here, we've seen it stuck in there before. But, no shocker if a lot of these stocks are just basically like this, moving sideways, right? Look at this. Here, we see came down here, pivoted up, but now it's back here again. Crocs, right? Look at that. Basically sideways. It's volatilely going sideways, but it's going sideways, right? And look at this, right back there, sideways. It went up, it went down, it kind of rose up a little bit. And you can definitely see this sort of slow downward trend and some sidewaysness with boom, look at all that volatility right there, riding back up to the top. Last one we're going to look at in the NASDAQ. A lot of volatility, but look at this. And right back to where we were like 6 months ago. Drop down, gap back up. But a lot of volatility, wild swings in that. Let's check out the diamonds, Dow Jones. Sideways in the short term. All right, we see pivoted right in here before. A little lower though, right? A little bit lower. So all this area right here seems like it's acting as some resistance at the moment, right around that 200-day moving average. So the top 10 holdings of the Dow Jones, right? For the United Health Group, right now it's trying to get up to the top of this range. You see lots of prices overlapping here. So even if it starts moving up more, don't be surprised if it starts getting stuck around this 500 area. But if it doesn't move up, if it stays below this 480, don't be surprised about that either. Lots of prices overlapping in this area. Goldman Sachs, real choppy through here, and seems like in this area right here, it's catching some support, but it's not looking strong either way. It looks like just kind of a lot of maybe confusion. Home Depot, it's breaking down kind of slowly, but it's sort of like trying to stay up, but it seems to be getting pulled down. Could get lots of support in here. Let's take a real quick look over at the volume profile right here. Volume profile for Home Depot, right? So, right, we see that the most amount of volume in around the area where it's trading now is right in here, right? And so don't be surprised if it moves back up kind of around this 290 area. It's not a guarantee. This is definitely not a guarantee. But just don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if it pulls back up to somewhere in there. But also don't be shocked if it breaks down either. And if it breaks down, there's a good chance it could be hitting, at least just looking at this volume profile, right? What is this volume profile? This is just where a lot of shares, prices where buyers and sellers really start doing deals right around that time. 275. Maybe you kind of look at this in a way like some people use the what is that? They use the Fibonacci type of thing. It's definitely not the same stuff as a Fibonacci, but anyways, Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft still kind of range bound, but on the up, right? A lot of stuff's been range bound, breaking down. And Salesforce moving up. At least we got some other things giving us some bullishness, but seems like it's sort of running out of steam, hitting the top part of that. McDonald's continuing to move in the sideways range. Is it going to be able to break out above this 275? Don't be surprised if it moves back down here. Let's check that volume profile out of McDonald's. Yeah, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if it pulls back. All right. Don't be surprised no matter what happens. But as far as like if this were like showing a bit of, let's say it has a little bit of gravitational pull, but it's not exactly that, but it's definitely not the worst analogy for it. So this on this particular, looking at 1 year, 1 day, you get the highest volume of transactions around this 266 area. So we're a bit over that. Let's go back over here to there we go. Honeywell. There we go. The Honeywell, right, sideways a bit, but breaking down, now going sideways. What do we got to the left? If it breaks this 185, it could probably easily start hitting this 185. Not only because we see this, but also this average true range, right, is almost $5, 4 and some change. So Right now though, it's battling in here, staying up in that area. Sideways over here on Visa, right? Up, down, sideways. Amgen, what's Amgen doing? It's going sideways, but it broke down. Now it's just kind of at the top end of this range. Boeing, it also is kind of been range bound, but really range bound through here. Now it's at this lower end. It seems like it's range bound, but lower from here. And we'll go through. Still going backwards here. Go through the Qs. Just basically NASDAQ. Remember, this is a top 10 stocks. There's going to be a lot of We're going to start seeing a lot of overlap, especially there. We looked at Microsoft already. We're going to be looking. Maybe we'll take a peek at Microsoft again real quickly. But a lot of the Qs, most of the Qs, top 10, and the S&P 500 top 10 overlap. And okay, so we're at the top end of this range. We got up here around the 310 area before. Ends up being some resistance up there. And sure, I got this. And so let's see what the rest of it looks like. Apple, same thing, up at the top end here, just bumping its head against this 160 area. Microsoft, I think we looked at that already. Same thing, bumping its head against that area. Amazon not looking nearly as bullish, looking a lot more bearish than Microsoft and Apple. Google, same thing. It looks like it's doing better than Amazon, but definitely not as well as Microsoft and Apple, battling this 200-day moving average, high, lower high. I'll see if it's going to reverse that, but the 1-year trend on that, you can see it's just been down. But it's trying, right? We will see. We're really got some sidewaysness going on. Facebook, all right. After this gap up, we don't have a really strong run up, but 3 trading days ago, we had hit a 6-month high. And Tesla, kind of a similar picture of closer to Amazon and Google, whereas you got other ones that are like the Meta, Microsoft, and Apple above those 200-day moving average. Google again seems like they could be more creative than doubling up, but they did nonetheless. Nvidia, okay. We got a nice bull trend that's been going on there for quite a while. PayPal, right? Looking like Microsoft, looking like Amazon, looking like Google, looking like Tesla, but it's not testing this 200-day moving average nearly as much. Looking pretty weak in there. Adobe, that's really kind of in between. Not nearly as exciting as Microsoft or Nvidia or Apple, but it looks kind of like that, and it's definitely looking better than like Tesla. And we'll wrap this up with looking at S&P 500, which they're all overlapping. They overlap so much that they even put Google in there twice. But look at this, Berkshire Hathaway. We got that one in there. And I forgot what it was we were looking at. Was it McDonald's? No, McDonald's was at the top of the range. I forgot which stock we looked at that had been going sideways and kind of seemed to be having like a step down. And that's definitely what we see here, right? And going sideways. It seems like right in this area sort of might be acting as some resistance now because it's not up in this trading range anymore. It seems to be just a little lower. Let's see if that's still going to happen. And JP Morgan Chase, we haven't looked at that one yet. Oh, here we are, right? It was kind of doing the sideways thing. Now we're doing this. It was doing the sideways thing in here, and then see how it kind of raised up in here, and now we're kind of lower in this area. So holding up fairly well for what's going on with the banks. So top 10 of the NASDAQ and top 10 of the S&P 500 are basically all the same stocks, except for in this one we got Berkshire Hathaway and JP Morgan Chase. In the other one we have PayPal and what was it? PayPal and Adobe. So a lot of overlap. What can we conclude from this little experiment? You know what we can conclude? Go through this stuff, right? This is a great time to be selling put options on stocks you want to own. It's a great time for me, at least. That's why, and I'm just showing you how I do it. So I think it'd probably be a great time for you if you learn how to do the same thing. You guys have a fantastic night, and whatever these headlines come up, whatever these headlines are, and whatever these look like a headline, but they're actually advertisements, you can do the same thing with these headlines as you do with these numbers. Don't necessarily believe just because it's in print that it's true, but you can definitely believe that people are going to react to it. Make the best decisions for yourself, and consider figuring out maybe 1 to 5 different stocks that you wouldn't mind owning, and learn how to sell cash secured puts on them. It's a fantastic way to live your life. Aloha.